Welcome to Quick Bite, your fast and friendly Florida insurance update.
Hello. This is Roshonda, agency owner with the Isom Insurance Group here in the Sunshine State of Florida, back again with another Quick Bite episode, your fast and informative insurance market update. Today is Monday, January the 12th, 2026. We are officially 2 weeks into the new year. Resolutions are already being tested. Inboxes are overflowing again, and Florida insurance market or insurance has wasted absolutely no time reminding us who's really in charge. Because while most people were focused on getting back into the routine, the insurance world quietly flipped a very important switch on January the 1st, and a lot of homeowners are just now realizing what changed. And today we're talking about a change that is already impacting closings, renewals, and conversations with lenders across the state. Mandatory flood insurance, even for homes that are not in high risk flood zones. And then we're going to look ahead to what's coming next because tomorrow, January the 13th, starts the Florida legislature session. The 2026 session convenes, and insurance costs are front and center. So today's quick bite is about what already is in effect, what's causing delays right now, and what could be coming next. Let's get into it. Let's start with the biggest shift affecting homeowners this week. As of January 1st, 2026, Citizens Property Insurance Corporation implemented a new flood insurance requirement. Here's the rule. Plain and simple. If your replacement costs, or in other words, your coverage A or dwelling amount is 400,000 or more, your home is insured with Citizens, you must now carry flood insurance. And yes, that applies even if your property is in a low risk zone, which is usually considered zone X. Let me repeat that because if it's where people pause and say, wait, even if I'm not in a high risk flood zone, yes. Even if you are in a even if you're in what's considered a low risk or X zone, if your home is 400,000 or more and insured with Citizens, you are now required to carry flood insurance. Yes, so this means even if your lender is not requiring it, even if your property never flooded, even if your flood zone map says low risk, this is no longer an optional coverage for qualifying Citizens policies. So let me give you a little backstory on this rule, because it didn't just come out of a vacuum. Citizens announced this, I want to say, about 2 years ago. The only thing is they've been kind of tiering it. So they didn't say everybody must have flood by 2026. They've been kind of rolling it out. Well, they did say everyone's going to be required to have flood, but it's by 2027. But what they've done is rolled out the requirements. So when it first came out, it was just homes that were 500,000 or more. Or if you were in a high risk flood zone, an AE, an A, you were definitely required to provide proof of flood if you had a Citizens policy. This year, they're rolling it out. If your home is 400,000 or more dwelling amount, now you're required to provide proof of flood if you have Citizens. And then next year, 2027, everyone that's with Citizens, no matter your dwelling amount, no matter if you're in a low risk or high risk flood zone, you're going to be required to provide proof that you have flood. So why this sudden change? Flood losses are no longer isolated to high-risk coastal zones. According to FEMA data, more than 40% of flood claims nationwide now come from low to moderate flood risk zones. That means nearly half of the flood damage occurs in areas that homeowners historically believed were safe. And in Florida, we've seen this play out repeatedly with heavy rain events, inland flooding, drainage system failures, storms that never officially make landfall. Flooding does not need a hurricane tag. Citizens is trying to reduce its catastrophic exposure And this requirement shifts part of that risk management back to policyholders. And here's the bigger picture many people miss. This requirement will expand to all citizens policyholders by 2027. Right now, it's 400,000 and up, but this is a phased rollout, not a one-time rule. So again, like I said, this has already been coming. We already knew it was coming. It's just now it's 400,000 or more, and by next year it'll be everybody. This change is already causing delays. We're seeing closing delays in areas like Sarasota, Miami, Broward, parts of Central Florida. So this is my kind of thought on maybe why it's being delays. It's because if you're in a low risk flood zone, a lot of times your lender would not make it mandatory that you have a flood policy. Therefore, you wouldn't be able to, like, it wouldn't be required. So it wouldn't be escrowed, right? Like your regular homeowners policy would be escrowed. But if you have flood, now that you have to get flood and you're in a low risk area, the mortgage companies can't require you. It's not a part of the deal. So now you have to self-pay that policy. It's no longer a part of your insurance package that you just bring, usually with most closings, if it's escrowed, we just send the policy and the invoice to the lender. They get that all settled in your closing documents, and then everything is just paid out or handled at the closing table. But now with this flood requirement, if your lender is not requiring it because it's not a part of the deal, and again, usually lenders only required it if you were in a high risk area, and that way you could have escrowed it. But now you won't be able to. I'm thinking that might be what the issue is that the lenders are not escrowing it, but the policyholders now have to pay that before they even come to closing if they want a citizen's policy. Now let's talk about a question everyone asks next. How much is this going to cost me? Flood insurance premiums vary widely, but here's a general framework. Many X policies, that means a low risk flood zone, range from 450 to 900 annually. Higher value homes or higher coverage limits can push that higher. Private flood options may be available depending on elevation and location. This is not a flat rate. This is not a one size fits all. But here's the key takeaway. Flood insurance is no longer something you can only talk about after a flood event. It's now part of the baseline insurance conversation for citizens policyholders. Also with flood, a lot of people don't realize this about a flood policy. It's usually non-cancelable, which means that once you get a flood policy, you cannot cancel it within a year of that policy. So let's say you get a citizens policy and then you later in 6 months, you decide to move to a different carrier. That carrier does not require you to have flood. You're going to have to keep that flood policy for the rest of the year, the term, because it's usually non-cancelable. It can be canceled with certain criteria is met. So now let's get off the flood and let's look ahead. Tomorrow, January the 13th, the Florida legislature officially convenes for the 2026 session, and insurance affordability is one of the loudest topics on the table, which we all know here in Florida. Insurance has been the loudest topic on the table for a couple years now, especially like right after Ian. It was like Ian hit, and then all after that, insurance affordability, companies leaving, all of those things, the reforms, all of those things. It's been all about insurance. So I'm really interested to see what comes out of this legislative session. But there are several proposed measures, including HJR 201 through 213, which is aimed to address rising insurance costs through property tax relief. Some of the ideas being discussed include eliminating non-school portions of homestead property taxes, providing up to $100,000 homestead exemption specifically for homeowners who maintain active insurance coverage. That was kind of neat to me. The logic is simple. If insurance costs are unavoidable, reduce the tax burden elsewhere. Will all of these proposals pass? No. Will they be debated heavily? Of course, absolutely. And this tells us something important. Insurance affordability is no longer a side conversation in Tallahassee, it's front and center. And like I said, it's kind of been front and center ever since Ian. So, what should you do today? If you have Citizens Insurance, review your replacement costs. If you're buying or refinancing, ask about flood early. If your home is approaching 400,000 in value, plan ahead. If you have Citizens, remember this rule is only for Citizens. Now, what I can say is, even though it's only Citizens now, when one carrier starts to do something, we always see kind of a trickle down effect to other carriers. They kind of wait to see, hey, is that challenged by the courts? Have they experienced any changes? What's their profitability been from doing this? And then other carriers start to follow suit. Do not assume Zone X means no flood conversation anymore. Zone X, again, is a low hazard area. Insurance is shifting from reaction to prevention, and preparation matters more than ever. If today's quick bite resonated, whether you're a Florida homeowner preparing for closing or simply trying to understand why insurance requirements keep changing, now is a great time to schedule a no obligation policy review. To do so, please, my website is right below this video, right below me in the video. And visit the website. You can request a quote or request a policy review. We can review how your coverage works, what's required, and how to position your policy as these new rules roll out across Florida. If you found this episode helpful, please like this video, share it with your friends, and drop comments below with any of your insurance questions. And I may just address some of those questions in upcoming episodes. Remember, Quick Bite episodes drop Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And this video is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, tax, or specific insurance advice. Please consult a licensed insurance professional regarding your unique situation. This is Roshonda with the Isom Insurance Group here in sunny Florida, and it's still sunny. Even if we're been in the winter, I think we have just a few days of cold. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Visit us at isominsurancegroup.com.